And this is Sloan from the Commander's Pod coming at you with another opening of some packs. Today we have Collector's Boosters, Bloomburrow. This set uh, is from Duncan. This box is from Duncan, rather. This set just came out when the time this video is showing. Hopefully, it would have came out the day before, and pre-release would have been the week before, and that's where Duncan got this from pre-release. We did talk about this on the podcast episode this week, our thoughts on Bloomburrow and how we feel about it overall, from existence of the plane to the characters and the artwork to the new abilities and so on and so forth. But with that being said, without further ado, let's go ahead and start cracking some packs. Duncan told me, obviously, like every other person in the world that is buying any kind of Magic cards, he was hoping to get some serialized cards, as well as get some other uh, good stuff. Specifically, he wants a lot of the full art, the borderless full art cards, if possible. Obviously, if possible. We have zero control over that, but hopefully we'll get some good pulls for him. So with these cards, it looks like they're doing 15 cards a pack, which is pretty nice. And with the collector's editions, they always guarantee some better stuff in them. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to opening. Hope everyone is enjoying the podcast thus far, as well as the video content we've been able to put out with these pack openings. My hope is, which I was telling the guys during the podcast, that we get to do box openings for every set that comes out, because Duncan buys boxes for every set basically. So but hopefully we'll start getting some game recordings on here soon for you guys. So starting off with a foiled food. And oh, looks like they put the rares right up front. So there's a rare right there. That looks really good. And it's a full art foil. So you can kind of see the... We'll put that off to the side. Oh, Birds of Paradise. Fecund Green Shell. This is the one that we talked about going into my turtle deck that I have, just because of the second ability it has there on the card. Octomancer. That's a good one. I like that one. Oh, Valiant, the new ability on the on cards. Full art planes, very pretty. Heartfire Hero. Downwind Ambusher. Parting Gust. So Gift is the one of the other new abilities that came out in this set. So as you can see, this one has it. It's Gift a Tapped Fish. So you get to give somebody a token. Heaped Harvest. Glide Dive Duo. Frilled Spark Shooter. Blizzard Assassin. That's not a bad assassin for my Assassin's Creed deck. So it looks like 5 rares are in that one. I don't know if that's normal for these kinds of things, but we're going to go ahead and throw these in a sleeve for Duncan. You're trying to keep them nice and safe for him. So first pack, not bad. we did do some prep when we were sitting down for the podcast regarding Bloomburrow, and it's just interesting because of the art style that they use is interesting because it's like almost realistic fantasy, which is pretty cool. Um, so, but there's our token right up front, and oh wow, that is a super super pretty art. I don't know if you can see it, but like the gold up here is almost like the gold around it is like almost like etched in. That is super pretty. Oh, there's a mythic. Miss Bumbleflower. So we got Bant, so green, white, blue, and a 1. As you cast a spell, target opponent draws a card, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. It gains flying until end of turn. This is the second time this ability has resolved this turn. You draw 2 cards. Nice. One of the things we did talk about was also the lands here, and you can see they're doing, full art lands. Um, the drawing on them is really good. I like it. I think it's pretty. I think it's well done. The actual art itself is kind of, I think, a little similar because there's a couple. This is an island, and then there's a plane that looks almost exactly like it, and then I think also a forest that almost looks exactly like this island art. So kind of a little repetitive in my opinion, but the art itself actually is really pretty. Repel, Calamity, Sugarcoat, Sinister Monolith, Bumble Flowers, Sharepot. Okay. Light Shell Duo. So I threw the rares right up front for you on this one. But that one we got some good ones. That one is super. I mean, that is super pretty. Oh, we got 2 mythics. I guess the infamous Cruel Claw is also a mythic. So let me get these and pack them for him. So 2 mythics out of that second pack. That's pretty cool. Probably gonna try to have some deck building stuff that I record. Try to start uploading stuff like that for you guys in regards to additional content. Hey, look, there's a fish token that he'll be able to use. Alrighty. Put the rares to the side. So there's Nissa, who shakes the world. Jackdaw Savior. They must have listened to our podcast because this is a bird tribal enchantment. Birds you control get +1/+1 and have vigilance at the beginning of your end step. For each spell you've cast this turn, create a 1/2 blue bird creature token with flying named Stormcrow. Yeah, I think they listen to our show because I feel like we insult birds a lot. Um, and again, nothing against birds. It's just, I guess that was the first thing Jeff could think of on the podcast, and then it kind of just stuck. So that's what we kind of always go back to. So Mouse Soldier, that was one of the things too I talked about. Personally, I thought they did a good job with giving all of these like two creature types, so elemental, coyote. So they have the creature in there, but then they actually have a creature type people care about. So this is a rat rogue. Now rat's a little bit different. There's a lot of rat decks out there, so that one maybe not as true when it comes to that. But raccoon warrior, for example, not really a lot of raccoons in the game, but people do play warriors. So giving the second creature type with it being, frog soldier, I thought was a good part on them and good thing for them to include. So that way, these new cards that are all different creature types that are not going to be, human or, things like goblins, stuff that people mainly care about. You still got an actual decent um, secondary creature type out of it, with it being soldier or bard or warlock or something like that. So, geez, we're gonna have issues with packs again, huh? I just got fat fingers and I can't quite grab these packs well enough to open them cleanly. So, but is that a bat with like a shuriken on it? What the heck is going on there? All right, let's see what we got here. Dour Port Mage. Dragonhawk Fate's Tempest. Bird Dragon, that's pretty cool. Flying, enters attacks, exile top X cards of your library, where X is the number of creatures you control with power 4 or greater. You may play those cards until your next end step. At the beginning of your next end step, deals 2 damage to each opponent for each of those cards that are still exiled. That's cool. I like that. That's a mythic. Fountain Port. I do think that, ooh, that is a really pretty Fabled Passage. Nice foil. Um, One of the things we discussed on the show was the three treetops everyone was talking about in regards to um, the land and how they thought it was going to be crazy strong. Um, I will say that, obviously, hopefully you've already listened to the podcast, but Duncan and I kind of landed very similar on that. We thought, no, it's not an $18 or $20 land, and it will probably end up coming down in overall value, we think. But Jeff was underneath the impression that it's no more valuable than a $5 land, and I debated pretty heavily against that because I think it's better than a $5 land in my opinion. Um, and especially because it feels like Magic has been encouraging combat focused decks. That is a really good way to emphasize a combat focused deck by having a land that rewards you for having more creatures on the field. Now they have to be of one type, so obviously them being a tribal deck is what they're mainly going to go in. But still, I mean, it is a. I still am underneath the impression it is a very good land, and if I were to stumble across one and get one, whether from opening a pack of cards or from trading for one, I definitely think that it's something that I would put like in my assassins or my soldier deck, just because again I'll get so much value off of it. But I specifically brought up the wow Essence Channeler. That is a crazy art. It's like black and white. You can barely like see it. Very cool though. But I brought up my assassins deck for the very specific reason of my commander cares about black pips, black mana specifically, because he gives other assassins I control free running black black. So as long as you hit with an assassin or your commander, you can cast any assassin card in your hand for black black. Well, what that does is you pay 2, I believe, tap it, and create X mana of any one color equal to the number of creatures you control of the chosen color when you put it into play. And for, oh my gosh, Sword of the Squeak. He got a freaking sword. Look at that. Quick creature gets +1 force for each creature you control with base power and or toughness 1. Whenever a hamster, mouse, rat, or squirrel you control enters, you may attach Sword of the Squeak to the creature equipped to. It's not the greatest sword, but this is a really good sword for any of those decks. There's that red creature that cares about your power and toughness. Excuse me, power and or toughness rather being under 2. So definitely could go in that. But that's cool. Oh, we have a mythic. Oh, Maha. It's Feathers Knight. Very cool. I'll kind of slide those over so you can see him still in the shot. So, but anyways, back to what I was saying. So in that deck, because he cares very specifically about getting black mana, it's nice because one, it can mana fix you, and then two, it also allows you to be able to um, potentially get out a lot of mana for 3 mana in return. And his whole idea was, well, you have to spend 3 mana, quote unquote, in order to get only 4, so you're only get a net 1. And my whole point was, well, it also mana fixes you though, and like I said, with my Assassin's Creed deck, black mana is what I care about most, but because I am running Wooburg in that deck because he is a Wooburg commander, white, blue, black, green, red, uh, I need to have at least a little bit of ways to get mana of each of those types. So I can't just obviously make all black mana. I mean, I could technically just make it a mono black deck if I really wanted to, but I wouldn't be, it wouldn't behoove me to do that. And so my point was, well, this allows me to fix my mana so I can tap two planes into it and potentially get 4 black mana, which means I can now cast 2 more assassin spells that normally I would not be able to cast. So, but let me know what you think about it. Three treetops, I think is what it's called. Uh, I think it's a decently good mana engine for tribal decks. So, wow, another Birds of Paradise, but the foiled one. Hired Claw. I'm trying to kind of put these off to the side so you guys can still see them. Oh, Glarb. Calamity's Augur. This is actually what we talked about on the podcast. It's because he's got 3 creature types: Frog, Wizard, Noble. Bushy Bodyguard. I will say that again, the art is really well done. I think it looks really good, and um, the art itself is really cool. Now, again, I did not look heavily into the lore. I do not follow the lore. Um, from my understanding, Bloomsburrow is a whole nother plane or what have you, um, and the I guess they're also doing a horror set that's coming out, and that's also supposed to, like, I guess it's a whole nother plane or what have you. Um, so, but please feel free to reach out to us and let us know what you think of the set. If you got to play a lot of it, let us know what you think. If you haven't got to see a lot of it, hopefully you're getting to see some really cool cards here, and maybe you'll want to build a deck. Holy cows. Oh, there's Teferi. Got another Planeswalker. No, so here's that essence channeler, the normal version. Reptilian recruiter, Moonstone harbinger, uncharted haven. Interesting land. I saw this one on the list too. First off, again, the art's pretty cool. Big fan of the art. I think that this ability, so enters tapped and as it enters, choose a color. Add 1 mana of the chosen color. I think this should not have come in tapped. I think this should be able to come in untapped, in my opinion. Main reason why is because it's only producing you a color that you choose. And sure, you can say, well, that's so strong. It kind of forces you to, have to have it come in tapped. And I guess maybe I mean, it is good. I'm not saying it's not good for it to be able to do that. But what I am saying is I feel like there's other lands that come in tapped, and it's because they tap for 2 colors, one or the other. So I feel like that one is just it, like, to me it's kind of a feels bad because I feel like you should, if it comes in and taps for a single color, it's really hard to argue that it should ever come in tapped for a single color. It's not a good trade-off in my opinion. Um, with that being said, though, for a common land, I think it is um, good common for sure. Let me double check that too. I'm pretty sure it was a common. Yeah, for a common land, I mean it's not a bad land. It definitely is mana fixing, which is important, but I don't know if it's worth it coming in tapped. Now again, I also play with some higher level decks, so I can't really afford to have a lot of my mana come in tapped when I'm playing with them. Oh, look at this. Kaikar Wind's Fury, or Keycard, depending on how you want to say it. Flying, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. Sacrifice a spirit, add red. That is some good looking art. Now I will say, if you get him out, you can sling a lot of low cost spells because you can have the spell pay for itself essentially with this second ability. I feel like this might cause some issues. Now granted, there's not a lot of great things you can do with 1 red mana in regards to like single cost red mana spells that are going to be game changing. However, I will say that there's a lot of ways in white specifically to double spirit token generation and creation, as well as just make tokens, specifically spirits too. They have a lot of cards where it's use cast it and create X spirits. So, oh, look at that. Mythics back to back. Luminous Brood Moth. Oh, this is a reprint. This is a guy, whenever a creature without flying dies, returns to the battlefield under control with flying counter on it. Let me pull those down a little bit so you can see them. Myriad. I think that's the first time I've ever seen that. I did not realize Myriad could stack. You could give something Myriad more than once. Interesting. Did not realize that. Oh, we already grabbed one of these guys, Valley. Yeah, so here's what I was talking about, right? So, like, this and that island we saw earlier is, like, very similar. It's like there's a small river, and there's some foliage kind of coming up. And so, again, the art itself is gorgeous. I think it's super pretty, and they did a really good job with it. but it's very similar to the island art that we saw earlier. Sure, there might have been more water at the bottom, but essentially it's kind of the same exact art in that sense. And so that was kind of my qualm with it. Um, Not the actual art itself, but rather, I mean, not the art style itself or the actual appearance of it, but rather what the actual picture was. So, wow, a bat bird. You control enters. Interesting. But we got two mythics out of that one. That was a good pack. Duncan's getting some pulls. I know the Lord of the Rings, he didn't get exactly what he wanted, so I know he was a little bummed about that, but we still got good pulls out of that one. Like March of the Ents. I think that's a great one. He got two of those, I think. Yeah, I'm getting better at opening these packs. All right, let's see here. We got some bat. Each player may draw a card. Then each player who drew a card this way gains 1 life. Paw Patch Recruiter. Rapid Augmenter. And the Manifold Mouse is the last one. See, this forest looks a little bit different at least. That other one, though, is like almost identical to the island, but this one at least looks a little bit different. But again, like the actual concept is pretty similar. Little rabbit, kind of in a valley with a pathway. Same thing was true on the island. There was water here, foliage on both ways, little critters standing in the middle. Like I feel like with the forest specifically, like you could have had them on like a top-down view, like with a bird. But like they did everything from the ground level for some reason. I'm not sure why. Oh, so here's the lands I was talking about. I like these a lot. They're uncommon lands. It doesn't come in tapped, right? And it produces either a colorless or a color or black, right? And then it has a third ability, one in a black. Sacrifice this land. Return target bat, lizard, rat, or squirrel card from your graveyard to your hand. But they each do something different. Each color does. So I thought those were pretty cool lands. I was a fan of them. Crumbing get it. Jeez Louise. Oh man. Alright, looks like we're getting down to the bottom of the barrel here. We got 2 packs left after this one. Want to thank you guys again for supporting us, watching our stuff, hanging out with us every Thursday, listening to the podcast. I'm trying to put out these videos as often as I can. I have to reach out to my buddies I play online with and see if they're okay with me recording our games and starting to upload those maybe as well. But with that being said, uh, love for you guys to support us either by liking, following, and sharing our YouTube channel and our podcast. Also, we have a Patreon at the Commanders Pod, as well as our website, the Commanders Pod. All those places you can access us, and of course, always you can send us emails and give us updates and notifications on recommendations. Season of the Burrow. So choose up to 5 Paul worth of modes. You may choose the same mode more than once. Create a 1/1 rabbit creature token. Exile target non-land permanent. Its controller draws a card. Return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield with an indestructible counter on it. So this is the Paul modes that they were talking about, where you have to choose a Paul. And I guess the reason why they may have done this instead of mana is just to kind of distinguish it. But the thing that is kind of silly, which I agree with Jeff and Duncan on, is we already had choose cards out that existed. And I guess the only reason why they did this was thematic. Which, sure, I guess that's cool to kind of keep it all on theme, but at the same time, kind of unnecessary. Didn't really need it. And from my understanding, it's only this and one other card that have it. So, alright. Dawn's Truce. This is the one that I saw that I actually kind of liked. So, I know the gift mechanic is a new mechanic, and we were talking about it on the show and stuff, but I think in this instance is a good example of why I think it could be a really good mechanic that they could keep using. So you and permanents you control gain hexproof until end of turn. If the gift was promise, permanents you control also gain indestructible until end of turn. So this is one of those things where it's like, is giving somebody a card worth saving from a board wipe? And that's what's nice about this is like this could either be a single targeted removal protection, or it could be a board wipe protection, which then also allows you to keep your permanents and keep you also from being targeted for the rest of that turn, which is nice. So, and again, for 2 mana. So for 2 mana, I'm going to get everything up until this point here. So you and permanents you control gain hexproof until end of turn, which for 2 mana at instant speed is already a great card. And then you get this additional ability of permanents you control will gain indestructible until end of turn if a promise was gifted, or if a gift was promised. If a gift was promised, not a promise gifted, sorry. But I think that is a good example of how this mechanic works well, because it's like, okay, I'm going to give somebody a card, but I'm saving my entire board state creature wise from having to reset. Oh, actually, permanents you control gain indestructible. So if someone like Jeff does, he has a land destruction deck with Kalia because he cheats out creatures and he casts Armageddon and then basically says, "Does everyone give up?" If because no one has anything left really to do, and he just has these creatures to keep hitting everybody with. But that is, I feel like this is a really good card, and I think this is one that may have snuck underneath the radar. In regards to, I think, the overall value of what you're getting, even with giving somebody a card. Because the other thing is, too, is you could gift a card to somebody else that is going to be affected by this board wipe to help them potentially deal with the guy who just cast the board wipe. Um, so I like that card. I think it's a cool card. I think it was well done. There's the mountain. Haven't seen that mountain yet. That's a cool one. Wear down. Vine Reap Mentor. Plume Creed Escort. Overseer High Stride. Skyscaper Duo. Brew Waxwing. Seed Pod Squire. Made a lot of birds in this set. Like I said, I think they might have been listening to our podcast and heard us ragging on birds because there's a lot of birds. I think they came out swinging though with Nadu. And then they're like, we're just going to keep hammering birds out because this one dumb podcast said that birds suck. And we're going to show them. Maybe it was someone that is like on the commander's counts or something like that, and they heard us ragging on birds, and they're like, guys, we gotta fix this. We can't allow this to happen. I love birds too much. Gift a card, enchant creature, and there's print promise. Put 3 stun counters on it. You control enchanted creature. Oh, that's interesting. Oop, we got a mythic. Otterball Elite. Draw a card, then discard a card. Copy target instant or sorcerer spell you control. You may choose new targets. For the copy, activate only if Kitsa's power is 3 or greater. Scrap Shooter. I was gonna say that first pack that we opened, literally every single card in it was foiled, and I was like, "Is normal?" I didn't want to say anything because I was like, I can't remember if in collectors if that's part of the shtick. Clearly, it's not though. But so that first pack was just nutty because like every card we opened in it was freaking foiled. Oh, here's the guy I talked about, Flame Cash Gecko. I think he's super cool. I like the idea of someone lost life this turn, he enters with a black and a red, and you can immediately pay, discard a card, draw a card. I think that is a great card, and it's an uncommon, so that's super cool. Oh, here's one of the other lands I was talking about, Lily Pad Village. So same thing, either taps for a colorless, taps for blue, only for creature spells, or to pay blue, tap it. Surveil 2, activate only if a bird, frog, otter, or rat enter the battlefield you control this turn. So again, it's a cool ability, I feel like. That's a good way to encourage certain build types in the game that doesn't feel like it's a feel bad because it encourages creatures, but if you're not going to use it for creatures, you still get mana out of it, and you don't have to wait a turn. It doesn't come in tapped. But if you are building creatures and then you specifically build bird, frog, otter, or rat and put this in there, you're then gaining a third benefit from it. So, well done. I like that. I think that's cool. A little filter land, not bad. Take out the trash. Alright guys, we are about to open our last pack, so let's see if we get any serialized cards in this last one. Didn't hit any quite yet. Sorry Duncan, I know you expect more from me, and I know you're going to tell me to be better when I see you. I apologize. But here we go, last pack of Bloomburrow's Collector's Booster. See if we hit a serialized card. If we do, I know Duncan will be super, super hyped. And you know what? Just for this one, because it's the last pack, and I think it'd be more dramatic, we're gonna take the top 6 cards. We'll look at the token. Looks like it's a rat token. Very cool. It's actually double-sided. There we go, putting them off. All right, we put all the rares and stuff on the bottom. So this last pack we're gonna be surprised together. So there's the swamp. Builder's Talent. Mind Whisker. Cash Grab. Corpse Berry. Alright. Alright, here we go. Alright, here's the first of 5 rares. Starfall Invocation. Let's see what the next one is. Ooh, we got a mythic. Alright, let's see what we get. Oh, Maha again. The Feathers Knight. Let's see what this is. Oh, just a rare. Festival of Embers. You may cast instant sorcerer spells from your graveyard by paying 1 life in addition to their other costs. Really? If a card or token will be put into your graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. That is a really good card. I think I like that more than Underworld Breach. That is a really good card. And then let's see this last one is just a rare. Oh, an adventuring one. Oh, I'm sorry. We got one more after this. I apologize. All right. Bright Cat Badger. This last one's a rare. Green. All right. Let's see what we get. Thornvault Forager. Very nice. That Festival of Embers, I'm curious on what the cost on that card is because that is really, really good. I actually really like that, and that was not one that I saw when I was reading through the list. I do apologize. I did get a little preoccupied with life, so I did not do my reading as Duncan subscribed for us to do, or prescribed, I should say, for us to do. But with that being said, that is all of the Bloomburrow cards that we got to open today. Um, Definitely got some cool cards, and I'll go ahead and, while I'm outroing the video, we'll go ahead and we'll put this guy on top because I think this is a cool card. I like the art on it too. Festival of Embers. So, um, with that, guys, thank you for stopping by, watching the content here, watching the pack openings. Um, More than happy to do this for Duncan. These again are his cards that he bought. This is the collector's boosters that he got at pre-release. And with that being said, thanks so much for joining us and coming and opening some packs with us. And keep slinging them spells out there, guys. Thank you, and have a great one.